vitamin C and vitamin K. All right, so it's vitamin E and selenium. So this was a hard question because a lot of the questions, like in some of the unit quizzes, will say what is the most predominant fat-soluble antioxidant. So that gives you a hint. Well, it's either A, D, E, and K. So, wonder which one. So the most predominant fat-soluble antioxidant is E, vitamin E. The most predominant water-soluble antioxidant is vitamin C. The most predominant antioxidant that's a mineral is selenium. So this was a hard question because it didn't give you any hints as to whether it was a mineral, fat-soluble, water-soluble. But vitamin D really isn't the best antioxidant of all these. Beta-carotene's a good antioxidant, but B12 isn't. Vitamin E and selenium both are considered good antioxidants. And vitamin C is an awesome water-soluble antioxidant, but vitamin K isn't known as a great antioxidant. So is this helping y'all think through things?
Yes.
Okay. Next, chromium is a mineral that supports the action of insulin, liver function enzymes, glucagon, or transferrin. That's a hard one because you just have to memorize that, but chromium supplements are the craze right now. So, right, it's insulin. Now, transferrin, what is transferrin?
And that's the, it helps the iron.
Right. It transports iron. Very good. And then liver function enzymes, those are enzymes that are measured as to determine what liver function, what's happening with liver function. A lot of doctors measure liver function enzymes to make sure that the liver is okay. If there's a high amount of liver function enzymes in the blood, then you know that cells in the liver are releasing or being damaged, and they're releasing these liver function enzymes. So doctors will follow these enzymes, especially if you're on a drug that's known to cause liver issues. And then glucagon, what is that?
It's the inactive form of, but it has to do with sugar.
Right. It what?
It
Increases blood glucose. Very good. So it antagonizes, or it's against insulin. Okay, which of the following foods enhances the absorption of iron if eaten in the same meal? Whole grain breads, cauliflower, apple, or potato? I'm mean on this one. I didn't put tomatoes or oranges. This is a hard one, but it's something that we eat a lot of, so we get a lot of vitamin C from it. Potato is right. It's the potato. Now, whole grain breads, they're not really a good source. Cauliflower and apples aren't either. Now, whole grain breads are good sources of other nutrients. Same with cauliflower. Cauliflower is really good for you. So are apples, but potatoes have vitamin C, but because we eat so much of them, they are the top contributors of vitamin C in our diet, actually. Okay, what organ helps regulate acid-base balance in the body? Lungs, skin, adrenal glands, or liver? There's 3 organs that help regulate acid-base balance, or 3 systems. One is the protein buffering system. Y'all remember? What was the other one?
respiratory and
There you go. You just gave the answer.
Oh.
You have the lungs, right? And then what's the third one? The kidneys. So good. Lungs was the answer. Okay. So y'all that you have physiology along with this class, kind of helpful, isn't it? Okay, what enzyme is responsible for removing triglycerides from the bloodstream? Is it lipoprotein lipase, hormone-sensitive lipase, pancreatic lipase, or alpha lipase? So this means that when your chylomicrons are floating around, this enzyme is taking the triglycerides from the chylomicron by the action of this particular enzyme. So the answer is lipoprotein lipase. Lipoprotein lipase, they say that women have higher levels of lipoprotein lipase action in the hips, and men have higher activity of lipoprotein lipase in the stomach. And that's why men are more apple-shaped and women are more pear-shaped. Isn't that interesting? Okay. Oh, that's the end. Ellen won.
I can't believe I never win anything.
I don't have a prize to give you. Darn it.
Maybe I'll do well with this.
That'll be your prize. Okay, so next what we're going to do, well, that was kind of fun, wasn't it? Is I'm just going to answer any questions that you might have from going through this midterm exam review. If I don't flip over the court. Let's see, what time is it? Oh, we spent so much time in this recorder then. All right, so y'all have any particular questions that you need further clarification?
I didn't see much on the enteric nervous system on chapter 3, question 1.
Yeah, I just have one. I couldn't come up with questions, to tell you the truth. I just have one question on the midterm exam review of what is the enteric nervous system and how it relates to
Okay, cool.
psychological functioning.
For bile salts, is that just to like aid with fat digestion and absorption?
Right.
Okay, just making sure because I wasn't positive on
I have so many patients that have their gallbladder removed. Anybody have their gallbladder removed? I had mine out when I was 21. What's that?
One of my friends did recently.
Mm-hmm. Most of the time when you have your gallbladder removed, your liver takes up for it. So your liver will start making bile on a continuous basis. Usually it makes a big bunch of bile, and it all goes to the gallbladder, and the gallbladder stores it. So the liver can make it and then store it in the gallbladder, but when you don't have a gallbladder to store it, it kind of has to make it all the time. So usually the liver will make up for the absence of the gallbladder, but in some people it doesn't, and they end up having lots of fat malabsorption, and it is really painful to have fat malabsorption. It causes really bad stomach cramping and explosive diarrhea. It's very uncomfortable, so they have to be supplemented. Any other questions?
Number 6 on the chapters 4 to 6, the phytate and phytic acid.
Mm-hmm. So how do you reduce them?
Does it have to do with like the way you cook it, or like taking it out of your diet, or?
Well, you can ferment like sourdough bread has reduced phytic acid levels. Or you can germinate, when you germinate, that Ezekiel bread. Y'all heard of Ezekiel bread? It is really popular, especially among vegetarians, because it's been germinated and sprouted. So in the process of that germination, the plant produces an enzyme called phytase, which breaks down the phytic acid and then releases the nutrients like zinc, calcium that are bound to the phytic acid. So that's why Ezekiel bread is so popular. So definitely germinating. Some people say soaking, but soaking is the process to get something to germinate. And then fermenting. I have an article in the class that talks about some public health workers going to a country in Africa and teaching them how to make sourdough bread because zinc deficiency is such an issue there. And most of them are vegetarians, not by choice, they just don't have a lot of meat available, and zinc is highest in meats. And also it's in whole grains, but it's bound by the phytic acid, so they're trying to teach them to go back to ancestral methods of fermenting and making like sourdough. Sourdough is interesting because before we developed commercial yeast, people, when they made bread, they had to let it ferment for days. It takes days to make sourdough bread. And then it takes hours and hours and hours for sourdough bread to rise. Whereas now you can make bread in a couple of hours from start to finish. So you don't get that fermentation and the release of all the nutrients from the phytic acid. But on the other hand, keep in mind, phytic acid in some amounts is good for you. They say it acts as so I think it was an antioxidant. So it's good for you in small amounts. Any other questions? Yes, ma'am?
In the module for chapter 1, it says that we read nutrition and physical degeneration. We read those 3 chapters, but it wasn't on the midterm review. Or is it still going to be on the midterm?
No, I'm not going to ask any questions about the nutrition and physical degeneration book. But wasn't that amazing? That book was pretty amazing. I loved it because it just showed that it doesn't matter what macronutrients that you're eating. You could be Alaskan and eating tons of whale blubber and seal blubber and meats, fish, and a few roots and berries and still be free of disease, whereas you could be in the Gaelic area and be eating grains and raw milk and meat once a week, and they were all healthy. So I just wanted y'all to see that book because it mainly says just eat whole foods. Did you have a question, Ellen?
It was actually close to what she just asked. But it was also related to the different types of research studies. You said everything on the slides that we read about.
Well, just understand the difference. In that same area, it talked about the difference between in vivo studies and vitro studies, case control, experimental studies. What are all those? When would you use them? Epidemiological studies. Right now, I mean, there's a lot of controversy right now about whether butter is good for you or is butter bad for you, and a lot of information is based on epidemiological studies which don't show cause and effect, so it's hard to elucidate the answer from epidemiological studies. So it's real important to understand that. They basically just follow people and see what happens, but there's no control in those studies. But then they use that to develop research studies.
Earlier you said the RAS system, and so I see it on here, and so it's renin, and then the next one was angiotensin, then aldosterone system is a lot. Okay.
Yes.
For the artificial sweeteners, do you have like a specific list that you want us to be looking at for those? Because there's a lot.
Well, I think it's gonna be, if I remember correctly, the following, which of the following is an artificial sweetener? And it might list aspartame, sucrose, fructose, something like that. And then you have to recognize aspartame is an artificial sweetener.
What was a, I think it was like a, not a, I guess like the benefit of, stevia? Is there like a benefit to that one?
I guess the main benefit to stevia is it's been around for so long that there's really no evidence that it disrupts the microbiome or causes cancer. So I think it has, because it's been around for that long, and it's from a plant and it's not synthetic. Now, some people could argue that the stevia out on the market is highly synthesized and processed. So some people say you should get liquid stevia. I don't know. But I think of all the sweeteners, I'm more comfortable with stevia. I use a liquid stevia. It still has that aftertaste though. It's disappointing, the artificial sweeteners. There's studies now showing that even aspartame interferes with the gut microbiome, and it doesn't curb your appetite. And some people, it increases appetite, so it can lead to obesity just as much as drinking a regular soda. So it's really frustrating. So I just try to stay away from all of them. If I need sweetener, I like honey.
Would you put like, for raw honey, like, just regular?
I like raw honey because it has all of the compounds that you encounter in this area, and so some studies show that it decreases allergy issues. So I just go to the farmer's market and buy honey from the farmer's market twice a month.
We need to know like all the bioavailability of each,
The bioavailability, like you need calcium citrate instead of calcium carbonate, or you need iron with vitamin C rich foods, that kind of thing. I don't know. Is it on the review? If it's on the review, you need to know it.
What was her question?
Her question was, do you need to know the bioavailability of all the different nutrients? I think of all of them, iron would be the most important, since that definitely is the #1 deficiency worldwide, and how important it is when you have somebody on iron supplements or you're trying to enrich their diet with iron. What is the difference between heme iron and excuse me, non-heme iron? And you should always tell the patient, if you're taking iron, please have a vitamin C source with it. So I think of all the bioavailability, that would be the most important to learn.
One thing I noticed in the book is it said that if you're taking an iron supplement, don't even bother taking vitamin C with it.
That's because it's non-heme, so non-heme doesn't respond
Okay.
to vitamin C.
But then it said you need to have ferric or ferrous sulfate.
Sulfate.
That was the form that it wanted, so I'm on an iron supplement. I went to see what I have. It's not that.
Do you have fumarate?
It's carbonyl.
Is it working for you?
I have no idea.
Oh.
I just started on it. I haven't been retested to see if it's gone away. I don't think I've taken enough of it. But I have all the symptoms of an iron deficiency anemia.
Oh.
I actually have my blood work in my notebook.
Oh, okay. So what you could do is take it, and then when you get your blood drawn again, see if it raised your iron levels. If not, you might
Okay.
have to switch to something else that's better absorbed.
Okay.
Any other questions? Eat liver.
Yeah, I think I might get some. I just
Twice a week.
twice a week. That's a lot of. That's a tall order.
I know. Well, do you feel comfortable with the test now? Feel better, or
I
feel
feel
like?
comfortable that we don't have to like do it one question at a time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we can go
good,
backwards
good.
and forwards.
Yeah, that makes me
Yes, you
feel a
can
lot
go
better. I
backwards
can think
and
about it.
forwards.
Yeah.
It's still a hard test, but, you know, last year people did pretty well on it.
Define pretty well.
Well, last year I had 54 people and I probably had 6 or 7 A's, so I thought that was really good.
Okay. What was your mean or your average?
I would guess a 75,
Okay.
so I think that's good.
Do we get extra credit for coming?
No. But I do want to take a minute, since we're recording, if y'all have a minute, to talk about the research paper. So I just want y'all to start thinking about working on the research paper. And the hardest part about the research paper is trying to distinguish what is a peer-reviewed research article versus what is a review article. Everybody has a lot of trouble with that. So I have really detailed instructions in the content area under research paper on the differences, and the library has created a handout that I have linked into the content area. So just understand that I'm doing a research article right now. I'm doing a study with a doctor in California, and we are looking at small intestinal bacterial overgrowth in patients. And he has eradicated small intestinal bacterial overgrowth, but it comes back often. So we're looking to see if an herbal supplement called Iberogast will prevent it from returning. So we're enrolling 25 patients who are all testing negative, or they had bacterial overgrowth,